Welcome to Sorting the Money Thing. This week I want to look at debt. It's said that you can wander into debt, but you cannot wander out of debt. You need to be very intentional. The Bible teaches us that if we owe money, in other words, if we are in debt, we must pay it back. That's part of good character. It's part of what we would say is Christian living. Romans chapter 13:7 says, "Give to everyone what you owe them." Now, it's not a sin to carry debt. Some people say it is. I don't believe it is for a moment a sin to carry debt. But depending on the kind of debt, it can really limit your world. Stewardship is about being wise. And we'll understand two types of debt. I'm going to call them strategic debt and bad debt. There's probably other names, but that's what I'll call them. Strategic debt would be intentional, it would be measured, and it would be attached to an appreciating, in other words, a growing asset, like a home or a property or a business or investment. Strategic debt is going to help you move forward. The idea being that the asset is always worth more than the debt. So if a rainy day come, and they do come, sadly, rainy days, hopefully you'd be able to sell up everything, pay off all your debts, and you'd still have something left over in the ideal world. Doesn't always work that way, but for the best of intentions, let's say that's how it needs to work. Then there's bad debt. This is the kind of debt you don't really want to carry. Bad debt would be credit cards, it would be HPs, it would be car loans. And I'm not saying that you should never borrow any money to buy a car, but you would be better to drive a cheaper car than to borrow a lot of money for a car. Why would you borrow $50,000 to buy a car that the second you drive it off the car yard is worth less than 40? You're then paying back $10,000 for nothing because it no longer has that value. Bad debt is when you're paying interest or fees or payments on a depreciating asset. In other words, something that is going down in value, or you're paying a debt like a credit card. This can be a terrible cycle if you're trapped in it, paying, and not going forward. If you carry these debts, one of your highest priorities needs to be to get rid of this bad debt situation. To get your finances moving forward, you need to have little or no bad debt, and you need to sort out any bad debt ASAP, as soon as you possibly can. Now, you may need advice, and if you're in the situation where you are working hard to maintain a level of bad debt, please get advice. You need to be set free of that, and there are ways and strategies that you can, but you need to act now. Strategic debt versus bad debt. Make sure you know the difference. Make sure you've been honest with yourself of what your debt actually is, whether it is strategic or bad. Make clearing any bad debt an absolute priority, and get advice.